So part of your science fair project is asking an inquiry question, also known as defining the problem. So what is an inquiry question? How do you write an inquiry question about your science fair project? When you put your independent and dependent variables together, you can form a question that you will try to answer through your experiment. So in class, we have color-coded our independent variable and our dependent variables. To make it easier for us, we have color-coded our independent variable as blue and our dependent variable as pink. So your research question is what you're trying to answer when you write your conclusion or form your hypothesis. So both your independent and dependent variables should be in your inquiry question. You must also explain why this is a problem that needs to be tested. So for you to have to start an achievement level of 7-8, there needs to be an explanation why you chose this problem. So a research question is testable. This means that it can be measured and you are using units, and you don't already know the answer for this question. If you already know the answer, then don't waste your time experimenting on it. And it's not a good question to investigate if you can easily find the answer on Google. It's not the best experiment if you can just Google it. Your inquiry question does not try to test too much. It is not too large of an experiment that it will take longer than you have to test and write to write up your report. Okay, so your question needs to have your independent and dependent variables, and you will write your question in this form. How does that independent variable affect the dependent variable? In addition, it should include an explanation, right? You're explaining how this is related to the topic being studied. You're explaining why it is relevant. It is a relevant question or problem. And it includes your scientific evidence or data from your research, right? So for example, with Mr. Koning, his inquiry question would look like this, right? How does the amount of water affect the height of the plant? So that whole thing with the question mark at the end is your inquiry question. It needs to be a question. You don't need to answer it. Since Mr. Koning's inquiry question does not have an explanation, so if he's going to give me this question for a science fair project, then the achievement level starts at a 3-4 because it does not have an explanation of it being related to the topic that we've been talking about for the last 18 weeks. Okay, so when you write your inquiry question, make sure that you have your independent variable and your dependent variables in your question with a question mark at the end.